Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Michael Hartley with Action Coach. What needs to pivot in my business, kickstart your day, get you refocused, because business is changing daily right now. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to What Needs to Pivot in Our Lives right now and in our business. I am Dr. Michael Hartley. I'm a non-medical type of doctor. I operate on business. And when we look at what our focus needs to be right now, we have to understand that the things that we're pivoting in our lives right now may maintain and continue past all of the next 2 months. Some of the things that we pivot right now will stop, and that's okay. Some of the things that we're going to be doing, though, are actually going to build us better routines, which will turn into better profits at the end of all of this. So when we talk about what needs to pivot and to prepare to sprint ahead, start thinking about what you're currently doing that you need to make sure you maintain for the rest of your life, the rest of your business, and things like that. And then which pieces really just are here for the moment and we don't need to focus on necessarily moving forward. So what needs to pivot? Where are we at in the cycle? Well, right now you can see we are past the phase one. We are past the initial lockdown. We are now focused on either the training teaching phase or we're focused on the warming up phase. So if you are in the teaching phase right now, you're focused on skills, you're focused on what's the online learning you can do, who's coaching you through what you need to pivot right now, self-management, self-mastery, becoming efficient with our time, refocusing on the vision and mission of your life and of the business. And how do the products and services you offer need to pivot right now? How does that need to shift? You may need to reshift your business model right now. A lot of our clients are understanding that the entire business model that they chose may need to change. What marketing strategies are you looking to pivot right now or teach or learn so that way when you get into the warming up phase, if you're not there already, you've now learned what you need to do to be able to market a little bit differently. Your marketing message must have changed by now. Collateral, preparation, assets, all of those kind of things must be learned if you don't already know them. And if you're not taking this opportunity to grow and to learn, if you're not taking this opportunity right now to grow and learn in your business, you're missing an opportunity. If you're not investing 2-3 hours a week on learning and growing, what are you doing? Your competition most likely is, or at least the competition that's looking to thrive, they definitely are. So if you're just kind of sitting back and focusing on, well, I just got to focus on what needs to be done today right now. Oh, well, I have this thing come up and this thing, that's why we're talking about routine right now. Because if you allow those excuses in your life, you're missing out. And they are excuses. You have to own up to that. And you have to go, I'm giving myself excuses. I'm allowing that to take place, which means I'm allowing myself to not succeed as much as I could getting out of this whole thing. That's your choice. What we want you to be doing is learning and growing and getting into that warm-up phase where now we're really preparing to sprint. We are really preparing ourselves, our team, our business, our customers for the sprint ahead. And that's why we're diving in specifically into us and our routines and things like that, because oftentimes we find that most individuals don't have the self-mastery, the self-discipline to actually build the right routines that they keep consistently. You see, there's a lot in this world that we are unable to control. The one thing that we can consistently control are our thoughts, what happens right here in the 6 inches between our ears. So how do we control our thoughts, control our routine, control what we do, prepare ourselves as best as possible for what lies ahead that day? Well, that's where we start to dive into routine. So let's get going. So your mindset, where's your mindset at right now? How often do you ask yourself at the beginning of every single day, what's my mindset like right now? What does this actually look like for me? What does it need to be? What should I be focused on? Am I focusing on what I don't want, or am I focusing on what I do want? Where does my focus lie today? Is today already starting as a rough day? Chances are that means that you've already allowed other things to control what's in your head. what's in your mind. When you choose to start the day without the news, when you choose to start the day without looking at email, when you choose to start the day without looking at social media and your text messages, when you choose to start the day the way you want it to be, focused on the things that you want to have, your day may shift from the beginning. It's that straightforward. You see, we must maintain the mindset that we want. And when you build a strong mindset, when you become a master of self and that self discipline, a lot of the things that cause you frustration and anger and angst and anxiety and stress and all of those things, they start to really diminish. It's really kind of powerful. And as somebody who has walked through it, it's really kind of cool to look at where I was 5 years ago and look at where I'm at today in my mindset and my self mastery. Is powerful. The things that used to, things that used to cause arguments consistently, the things that used to cause anger or frustration or any of those negative emotions that I wouldn't necessarily desire to have. Fast forward 5 years where I've focused on it every single day, those things honestly just don't get to me anymore. I understand that my mindset is my responsibility. I must own up and be accountable to the fact that my mindset is my responsibility. And when I allow others or other things to adjust my mindset, they control me. And that's not a place that I want to be. So, where is your mindset at today? Where should it be? If you're at an 8, how do you get to a 9? If you're at a 2, how do you get to a 4? A lot of times people think, well, if I rate myself on a 1 out of 10 and I'm at a 4, let's say that. Well, they go, how do I get to a 10 if I'm at a 4? That's not the right question. Question is, if you're at a 4, how do you get to a 5 or 6? And then tomorrow, how do you take that 6 and turn it into a 7? You see, what is achievable for most is a 1 to 2% increase every single day. And those 1 to 2% increases help you maintain that growth and that progress to get you to your desired state. It's your choice. So now that we've focused our mindset, now we must focus our routine, which will help lead to the mindset that we desire. You see, life can change in a moment. And if this has not taught you that, nothing else will. Life can change in a moment. It's about time that we prepare for it. So let's prepare for it. You see, when you align your purpose for, like, watching this as an example, you are watching this, you are with me right now. When you align the purpose of being here with your vision of life, the results that you'll get from implementing the learning from it, you may actually remain consistent with it. When you align the purpose of learning with your vision of life, the long-term goals, not just the momentarily, dissatisfaction that you have, you're more likely to remain consistent with it. So as you engage with us, as you engage with me right here today, be thinking about what's the long term that you actually want. What's that desired state? Because life will change in a moment. When you think about change, what are all the things that can change? Relationships, money, cars, clothes, homes, your customers, your team, the knowledge that you have. All of these things can change. So when you look at your routine, how do you need to make sure that you have the right routine to thrive? How do you make sure that you're prepared properly? I talked about yesterday how, one of my old bosses, used to say all the time, excuses are for losers. And I thought that was really, really harsh until I started to really understand what he actually meant by it. Excuses are for losers, and we're here to be winners. If you don't want to win in business, then you should never get into it. And winning for each of you means something different. So whatever your definition of winning means, that means that you have to remove excuses to get there, because excuses are going to hold you back, candidly. So we talked about how the fact that you need to create your plan for tomorrow today. By the end of today, ideally by the end of the working day, you have created your list for tomorrow. And those immediate focuses should lead towards a slightly longer term focus, which should be aligned with your vision. So we talked also about the fact that when you have something that you know you need to get started first thing in the morning once you get to work, or if it's for your, personal routine, that it's something that you need to do first thing in the morning before you allow the nonsense out there to get into your brain, you may need to do one simple thing to start it. And so it could be a matter of laying things out or having a certain application open on your computer. So when you go to turn it back on tomorrow, it's right there prepared for you, or it's laid out already. So you don't have to think about it. You see, when we remove the barriers, the roadblocks to us actually keeping a routine, we're more likely to actually keep with it. So we want to start that momentum. We want to start the momentum the night before. So that way, when we start the next day, whether that's for your personal routine in the morning or your business routine as soon as you start work, whatever hour that is, and there should be a consistent hour that you're actually focused on your business routine, that you have that momentum already started. So you don't have to think about it to get going. That's one of the biggest barriers we see is people start to really overthink things. And then they go, oh, well, I was supposed to start with this, but you know what? My mind's already wandered over here. So let me go focus on it instead. Now we have to remove these kind of barriers so we can actually be productive, so we can actually do our routine the way we desire for it to be. The other benefit of creating your plan the night before is that it allows you to mentally disengage from work because you've already written it out. So your mind's able to kind of slow down on the work side. So now that we've done that and we've disengaged our mental mind, we have to now drain our physical tiredness. And if we're not physically tired, what do we need to do to get physically tired? This is where things like exercise are really important. What are you doing that can, think about this. How many hours a day do you sit every single day? How many hours a day are you sitting all day? We're sitting here right now. It's one of the reasons why I actually bought the thing that I can, stand if I want to work, and I can stand that way. How many hours are you sitting? Your body is not necessarily going to be physically drained if you're just sitting all day. So we need to do things to make sure that our mind is disengaged. So we've written out our list, our plan for tomorrow. We've set us up to properly be ready to sprint in the morning. And now we got to get physically tired so that way we can actually sleep well. So many studies talk about how important sleep really is. So it must be part of our routine to make sure that we're mentally tired and disengaged from work, and that we are physically exhausted. So when we start to understand how we can, what we need to do to get the right amount of sleep, whatever that is for you, because it's important, because if we're not getting the appropriate amount of sleep, then it's shown that the likelihood of increasing depression and anxiety increases, while kind of conversely, getting the correct amount of sleep leads to insight and proper restructuring of thoughts and thought patterns. It actually shows us that we can gain more skills, which is really interesting. I'm turning the video back on for a second. So when we get enough sleep, it actually helps us increase our ability to gain the explicit knowledge that's out there, the skills side of our knowledge. So there's explicit and tacit knowledge. One of it is kind of like tacit is more on the job type knowledge. It's learned through experience of life. Explicit knowledge is the skills that we actually have. It's the things that have been written down. We can go learn. We can watch it through video, through audio, through reading, text, through someone teaching us. That's explicit knowledge. And when we get enough sleep, it allows us to actually add on more skills, more explicit knowledge and retention of that knowledge that we have. So if you're looking to personally grow, whether that is in leadership, whether that is in influence, whether that is in a specific skill set, whether that is in your mindset. We talked a lot about the fact that your mindset's super important. We talk about that every single day. Well, when you get enough sleep, it actually helps you with that. It helps reduce those anxious thoughts and things that can lead towards depression and isolation mentally. So we must be able to focus on getting enough sleep so that way we can add these type of skills properly to our everyday. So now that we've done that, uh, now that we have increased our ability to retain the knowledge, now that we are, not just sitting all day, but we're intentionally getting out there and taking a walk once or twice a day at least, what do you need to do some stretches maybe throughout the day to keep the body kind of loose and not stiff and things like that. We can't just be sitting. It's not healthy for us. So let's go back to the system that our brain and body follow, the sleep cycles. Your job is to best prepare your body and your mind for the sleep cycle and system that it follows. Your brain looks to follow this system. So all of this leads towards the routine that you need. The circadian rhythm that your body is naturally going to follow, we must prepare ourselves to be able to leverage it. Our body's naturally going to do it. So why not leverage our mind and our body to take advantage of it? So now that we have tomorrow planned, tonight, we're ready for it. And now we just essentially need to remain consistent with it, with that pattern, that routine. And you need to do it for at least 30 days. You must do this for at least 30 days straight to remain consistent with it. My coaching to you is shoot for over 2 months. Shoot for a little over 2 months of consistent focus on it, and you will now build that routine. So now we have a productive set day. We have productively set the day the night before. We've productively set us up. So in the morning, we're ready to sprint when you begin it. So what does your routine need to be? Only you can answer this. What does your routine actually need to be? And candidly, you're the only one that can decide it, because you know what is best for you and what will work and what will not. And it's not about, understanding, well, these people do this, so that's what I'm going to go do. No, it's understanding what's going to work for you, and then test and measure what you're actually doing consistently, so you can understand what needs to change. And that way you can continually become more productive. If you're not testing it out to understand, is this actually working for me, after 2 weeks or so, well, then we need to pivot. If we're not testing it out, then we need to actually sit down and think, okay, what worked best this week? What didn't work best this week? Create the routine that hits on all the learning modalities, all the modalities out there. So your daily mindset, your physical space, visual and auditory learning, your spiritual well-being, the environmental experience you have every single day, your learning focus, planning ahead, doing and taking action. Your routine must hit on all of these things. So when you are ready to take action on the most important items for the day, you must remain focused. Your mind will want to wander. Your mind will want to be distracted by the social news out there, or games, or communication. The routine that you build must remove these distractions. So I want you to think about your day like a movie. You are the director of your movie today. What does the movie need to play out? How does the movie need to play out? You're the director. You're dictating scene by scene what happens in this film. So, what would be your ideal day today for you to be the most productive that you can possibly be? What does today's routine need to be to not just be productive, but get the results you're looking for? What does your routine need to be to make sure that you're staying above the point, owning it, staying accountable to it, being responsible for it? You're the director. It's your choice. How well is your day set up for you to be productive on the most important things? And we get told, it's so interesting. I had a buddy right after high school who got a couple different jobs, and over the course of about a 5-year span, every job he'd get, he didn't really have a job like title. There weren't any really specific responsibilities he ever had, which was really interesting because each place he went, it was kind of the same. And at the end of every week, he'd be like, yeah, man, I just worked 50, 60 hours. I was so busy. And I go, great, what got accomplished? I have no idea. I was busy. So many of us fall into that trap of just being busy. And we feel like we need to be busy. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, we feel like we need to be busy. We're not out there just going, well, you know what can I do to be most productive today? It's this feeling of just being like, well, if I'm not doing something, something's wrong. We need to get out of that. We need to get out of the feeling that we must just always be busy. If you've accomplished something, if you accomplish what you were supposed to do this hour successfully, and it's only been 35 minutes, go take a break. Walk around, stretch a little bit, grab a snack. Do something that's going to give you energy, whatever that may be. Don't feel like you always have to be busy if you're hitting what you need to be hitting to be productive. Again, if you follow what we're teaching, if you're following what I'm teaching you right now, or what one of our coaches teaches you and holds you accountable to doing, you'll end up becoming more productive in a 45-minute span than you normally would all day long. I do a 45-minute sprint before 8:30 every single day. I am more productive and have most likely accomplished more things by 8:30 than most people will until lunchtime, potentially for the whole day. Because I have that mindset and that routine and that self-discipline and self-mastery, and I have that sprint set up every single day. So by 8:20, it is complete. So when you start to become more productive, you'll find that, well, I had an hour blocked out for this thing, and it only took me 40 minutes. Great. Instead of filling that other 20 minutes for this moment with just something that's going to cause you to be more busy, maybe take a quick break, get yourself energized again, and maybe that's a 5-minute break. So now you still have 15 more minutes left of that hour that you had dedicated towards whatever you're doing. And that's a matter of, okay, what can I do in 15 minutes from this afternoon? Maybe I need to bring that closer so I can end my day earlier. Things like that. When you become productive and you get the results you're looking for, you will find that there's extra time in the day, because not that there's extra hours that were added. It's impossible. People say all the time, I need more hours. No. We just need to be more disciplined. We need to have higher self-mastery. We need to be more efficient. And that's why routine is so important. So write down the top 2 things you got out of today's episode. What are the top 2 things that you got out of today that you're going to go take action on moving forward? At the end of this entire weekly, at the end of this week's series on routine, we're going to have a complimentary resource for you that you're going to be able to download and get to help get your routine one step further. When you give yourself excuses, you're sending yourself the wrong message. Remove excuses. Choose to be the constant student. Start learning and get engaged. Increase your self-mastery. If you do not have the proper routine, if you don't have the proper plan for you and for your business, if your team doesn't have the proper plan, on the 29th, we're going to help you create it. Right now, what we're doing is we're taking the 90-day planning that we're doing, and we're creating 30-day sprints. And again, if you're in the tech world, this is probably something that you're used to doing, short sprints. They'll do that pretty consistently in that world. And so we're bringing that into every business. And every business is going to have a 30-day sprint. What's the next 30 days need to look like in my business? Because that's how fast business is changing. So if you're not engaged with us, this is going to be an amazing 2.5-hour webinar / workshop that we're going to actually help you plan the next 30-day sprint for your business. Get connected with us. We have a handful of free resources out there. If you're looking for online education, we'll give you 2 free weeks of that. If you're looking to network, we'll give you 2 free weeks of that. We want to get you engaged with us. So reach out to one of my team, go to don'townajob.com. All of the information's right there for everything that we're offering right now. If you'd like a complimentary session to just sit down right now and go, I can't wait till the 29th. I need a quick 20-minute prepare call of what I need to do to sprint, or I need a 1 to 2 hour session of creating that plan for what my business needs to do to sprint. Wherever you're at on that spectrum, I guarantee we have resources for you. All you have to do is raise your hand and say, I'm ready for it. I'm Dr. Michael Hartley. I'm here to elevate your business and enhance your lifestyle. Go choose what you want to pivot. Go choose your routine.